You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weird Science Comics YouTube channel. And if you're a Nightwing fan, I'm sure you don't look back at the period between 2018 and 2020 when we all suffered through the infamous Rick Grayson era as a great time to be a Nightwing fan. I'm sure a lot of people watching this didn't even bother with all the Rick Grayson stuff, but here I was reading, reviewing, and talking about every single issue of that Rick Grayson era every time one came out, and it was rough. But hey, it's all in the past, right? Well, not to Tom King, who tweeted out that he had a different pitch for the Rick Grayson story than the one that we got during those dark years. Now, before we get to that pitch, we will go through a quick rundown of what ultimately led to Nightwing becoming Rick Grayson. So way back on September 19th, 2018, Tom King's Batman number 55 hit the shelves, and in it, Dick Grayson was shot in the head by KG Beast. It was always set up that Batman get pissed off, track down, and possibly kill KG Beast. And I'm telling you, at the point, people really got upset because it certainly looked like KG Beast was killed. Now, a couple of issues later, it was revealed he actually survived, and whether it was because of the outcry or maybe even a wink-wink callback to Jim Starlin's 10 Nights of the Beast, it was revealed, hey, KGB survived this, though it didn't really work in the way the story was set up or how it played out. But the end result was that KG Beast was alive, and the Nightwing book was royally screwed because Batman had to get angry at KG Beast. Now, shortly after Dick got shot, Nightwing writer Ben Percy surprised everyone by going on Twitter and announcing that he was leaving the Nightwing book after issue number 50. And at that point, issue number 48 had just come out. And he said in one of the tweets, quote, "I really wish I could have told the story I planned to tell, but I promise I'm leaving you on a high note." So that seems like somebody who, oh my God, I don't know that he actually knew this was going to happen to Dick Grayson. He had a story he was going to tell. Now suddenly he can't. And when this all went down, I ended up talking to a couple people, a big writer at DC at the point, and also an editor, and they verified that Ben Percy was blindsided. He had no idea that he had to deal with the main character of his book, getting shot in the head and having no memories, and was pissed at the DC editors, but also Tom King for not letting him know that this was going down. He had no idea, and he complained. He went to the higher-ups at DC and said, what is this bullshit going on? I have a story that I already got approved, all this stuff going. And they pretty much said to him, wait a second, Tom King and the Batman book, way more important than you, and your Nightwing book, you're going to have to deal with it. And they actually tried to threaten him by telling him, if you don't want to write the story, we will find someone else who will. Now, he called them on their bluff. He told them to go F themselves and quit. He quit the book and pretty much went off to Marvel. And I was also told at this point that DC didn't think this was going to happen. They kind of were scrambling. And if you do look at the deal, it was a little bit later that Scott Liddell was announced that he was going to come on the book to write 3 issues, then they were going to figure something out. He ended up staying longer than that, and then eventually Dan Jurgens came on, and that was the whole Rick Grayson era. But they were scrambling a bit to get something done and whatnot. Well, this week, Tom King responded to a tweet about the Rick Grayson era of Nightwing. And seriously, if you ever put anything on Twitter about the Rick Grayson era of Nightwing, you're not going to get a lot of positive response. And then somebody's going to do the math and eventually will blame Tom King for having Nightwing get shot in his Batman book. So Tom King responded to this tweet about Rick Grayson era of Nightwing with a pitch he said he had, but was ultimately rejected by the DC editors and the higher-ups. He says, my pitch was that Dick would be recovering, learning to be himself again while Tim took over the mantle of Nightwing. It would be a story of 2 brothers bonding, caring for each other in the shadow of the bat. Dick would be back in 6 to 12 issues. They went another way. So you end up having that he said, I had a pitch for the Nightwing book that it would be Tim Drake as Nightwing for a little while Dick Grayson got his memories back and healed. Now, I'll step aside a second and say I wouldn't have minded that story. That sounds pretty cool. And 99.9% of the responses for this tweet of this pitch were telling Tom King how much better that would have been, how great Tom King is. Oh my God, DC screwed up. Why did they give us the Rick Grayson shit? They should have went with your stuff. But it's funny how people suddenly forgot that Tom King was 100% responsible for Rick Grayson. Doesn't matter if that pitch was given whatever. He was 100% responsible. If he did not have Dick Grayson get shot in his Batman book, we wouldn't have had Rick Grayson in the Nightwing book, and Ben Percy would have continued with his story. Not only that, but it seemed like he didn't even get a hold of Ben Percy, even though he was derailing the Nightwing book completely. And now, in this tweet, he has the nerve to come out and say that he had a great pitch for someone else's book. He's not writing the Nightwing book. He ruined the Nightwing book, but yet he was so good with having this pitch that, oh my God, seriously, the idea that he's just there and he's talking about this, and Ben Percy had a story going he could not finish because of what Tom King did, but then Tom King was kind enough to have a pitch for a story that maybe Ben Percy was going to be told to write, because that's why you're pitching a story. You're pitching the story so that somebody writes it, usually you, but still. So he has the nerve to come and say, oh my God, you know what? Let's forget that I caused this Rick Grayson error because I had this great pitch and it was with Tim and everybody. I'm telling you, I am not even 20% convinced that this ever happened. I think that this is all damage control for him because he's trying to get out of that shadow of what he did to the Nightwing book and causing Rick Grayson. And the thing is, though, everybody's just praising him for this. Why isn't anyone calling him out on this? Oh, wait, somebody did. There you go. I'm pretty sure all this does come from the fact that he's heard the criticism that he caused the Rick Grayson era of Nightwing, and this seemingly to him gets him off the hook. Now, from the responses, it seems to be working like a charm, like it's some sort of brainwashing going on, brainwashing maybe from an ex-CIA agent. Uh-oh, the truth is out there. Seriously, follow the receipts, but let me know what you think. And again, I think that pitch, pretty cool, but the nerve of it and the extra layers that go on here of this spin doctoring that he's doing just drives me nuts. And this isn't the first time he's done things like this. He's tried to spin that he wasn't responsible for Heroes in Crisis. He's talked about this. But it's funny because when he ever gets praised or it's universally accepted that what he does, he'll never go on about, oh, that was somebody else's idea. Like the idea that the Mr. Miracle book was a lot of Dan DiDio's idea that he asked Tom King to do. Tom King doesn't bring that up. He takes all the praise there. But when somebody criticizes him or has problems with something he's writing, almost always, and it's usually a couple years later, he'll end up throwing everybody under the bus to say that it wasn't him that did the bad stuff. But let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like the video, enable notifications, all that stuff. But I'm going to go off right now. I'm looking forward to hearing what people think about all this, and I will talk to you all later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.